Greetings and welcome to Creative Briefing, an ad hoc internet streaming show where I sit here and blab on about ways to be creative. And I like to mix it up, so I could be talking about how you can be musically creative, how you can be artistically creative, photographically creative. I try and explore a different avenue on each episode and try and mix it up from day to day, week to week. This week I've focused on audio and music a fair bit, audio for video, and cutting audio to video and mixing audio for video. So that was just the way it happened. And of course today's Friday, so on Fridays I like to do a bit of music, so it's been a very audio focused week, just the way it worked out, I suppose. I'm generally, it's ad hoc. I'm making it up as I go along. There are no rules, there's no set schedule. Whatever I feel like talking about, whatever I have prepared the night before, whatever feels like a good thing to discuss, that's generally what I discuss. So tune in every day. You never know what you're going to get. It's a smorgasbord, not quite, but it's like a tin of Quality Street. You reach in and you grab one of those shiny, crinkly wrappers and you just don't know what you're going to bite into. Is it a toffee that's going to break your teeth, or is it something smooth and delicious? It's always something smooth and delicious on Creative Briefing. Today, what's smooth and delicious is, I've talked about soft synths before, software synthesizers, and some of the ones I've gone through, I've mentioned that there are iPad versions. So I think today I'm going to go through and show three of my favorite, or three of the most usable or easily accessible, I should say, because they're free, they're easy to get into and make sounds quickly. There are better, more in-depth, more in-detailed ones, and there are some really very, very cool high-end ones that you have to pay a fair amount for. But these are free, and you can get in really quickly and have a lot of fun, and they're easy to sort of dip your toe into if you're new to the world of software synthesis. It's really cool. So I have my iPad up on the screen, so put on the headphones so I can turn the speakers down and there's no cross bleed from the speakers to the mic. I will say that I'm going to be controlling the iPad just with my fingers on the touch screen. Ideally, you'd want to plug in a some kind of controller, like I've demonstrated the Beat Step before, that has the USB port on the side there, and with like something like a dongle like this that plugs into the iPad to the lightning connector. You can then easily plug a USB keyboard, and then there's also a thing like this for plugging in guitars. I think I'll do a specific thing on the iRig, so I'll show I've talked about amplitude before. I will do amplitude on the iPad on another session. So because I've got the iPad plugged in to the USB on my computer, so I can get the screen up on, I'm just going to be controlling with my fingers. Not ideal, but it's okay. Also, it would sort of demonstrate that you can take the iPad anywhere, obviously, and that means you can go and sit on the bus, the train, the dentist's office, and play a little tune on the old Joanna, as they say. Right, so first of all, let's talk about Syntronik. I talked about Syntronik a couple of episodes ago and gave you a brief overview what it did there. Fairly in-depth of the features. You've got the 4-channel multi-timbral synth, and you can do your keyboard splits. So the layout is identical. The user interface is identical, and it's very cool. You've got the same effects here for each channel, and you can load up load up stuff that, just like you would on the computer. So absolutely identical. You can download the free one for your computer, you can download the free one for your iPad, and you can take it with you wherever you go. There's the mixer, and what I didn't go into the other day was the arpeggiator, and I will do a whole lesson on the arpeggiator because it's pretty in-depth, and there's a lot that it can do, so that's really cool. So I'll do an episode on going into the arpeggiator. I won't get into that today because there's a lot to cover with that. So you can pick your channels and then pick your preset for that channel and make any sound modifications that you might want to make. That's really cool. You can make your own multis. Remember, a multi is like the complete setup with the effects and each channel filled with a specific synthesizer. A quick way to load multis is to go to the like the keyboard split page, and if we tap on here, you can where it says user here, you can see that you can create and save your own multis. But let's just let's just go back to starter pack. That's quite a nice one just to get going. And as you can see, slot D is empty. So what I like to do with the empty ones is just turn off all the keyboard, just visually. So for me now, I know that it's just these three, and I can see where my splits are. So if I just hold down so sounds really nice just by holding one key down. We've got the arpeggiator going on. You can see that the arpeggiator for there's the arpeggiator for the SEM. So if I go back to and I've got actually if I turn off this, let's take a look at what we've got. We've got a Moog, Mini Moog. And let's isolate so we can solo those sounds. Whoops. So it's a nice soft swell pad sound. Sounds good in the whole register. Oh, one thing to note, if we tap on the keyboard, we've got this scroll option. So if we turn the scroll on, we can then touch at the top and get this grey bar, and we can move the keyboard down to the different octaves. We can make the key sizes large. If you've got sausage fingers, you can make it a little easier. Let's just go for small for now because screen real estate is kind of premium. So let's take a look at the SEM. And this is what has the arpeggiator. I've noticed when I have the USB plugged into the computer, there is some lagginess with the controls. And sometimes it just stops, especially if I've got multiple. That's quite nice. If we look at the Juno 60 and we solo that, lovely high string sound. If we go up high, I'm sure it's going to be like dolphin loud. Yeah, only dolphins and bats can hear that. You can change let's see, if we tune that down an octave, it's a little bit fiddly with the touch. This is where the touch screen isn't best at 12. Let's see. The attack is quite long, so let's reduce that a little bit. Increase the release. It's in monophonic mode, so you can't play. You can put it in poly real quick. Let's switch that back to mono for the sake of the. If we go back to here, we can. So what might be a bit more useful, like I showed in previous demonstrations of Syntronik, is maybe let's make some useful splits. So we'll bring this up to here, so I know that and I don't need this super high, so let's bring this down to here as well. So that's pretty good fun, and a lot better when you have a bit more of a better control over the touch screen. Is a little bit fiddly, especially when you're trying to enter parameters. So let's mess with these a little bit. We've increased the. Let's see. Let's add some filter. The rate, we'll slow that down, and we'll create some. So a good way to add some sort of analog warbliness is to add some. If I solo this, we can hear. Maybe it's too. Oh no, I had it lower down, didn't I? what's modulating that is the LFO. That's this section here, the blue section. We can sync that to the beats per minute, the BPM, the tempo. If we have it connected to other instruments, or we can have it in sync with the arpeggiator. It'll all be synchronized. So the LFO, we can. Get some really fun special effects, like sci-fi special effects, old Doctor Who sounds. By modulating the pitch. Play with that with some of the other ones. LFO, slow the LFO rate down and mess with the pitch. Anyway, that's enough silliness. You get the idea. Lots of options, lots of possibilities to have fun with this. Again, with all the effects, you can get some really nice. So take the LFO off the pitch. Anyway, you get the idea. It's lots of fun, and with the multis, the presets that come installed, you have lots of. Let's just play with a few real quick and see what kind of. Again, it's sample based, so it's loading the samples into memory. So let's see, C2. Yes. Normally it responds very, very accurately. I'm sure it's because the audio is going through the computer via the USB, that there is some lagginess, and also the touch responsiveness isn't quite as good. So it's not looking like a great demonstration of the product, but I assure you it's let's let's do one more. Let's see, we've got groove splits. Let's take a look at automaton orchestra. So now this multi has some splits already set up. So again, it's a little bit fiddly with that, but enough fun to make it enjoyable. So that is Syntronik from IK Multimedia, and it's just the free iOS version. Whether there's an Android version, I don't know. I'd be surprised if there wasn't. So next, let's take a look at let's take a look at Launchpad. So Launchpad is by Novation. It's another free download. There is like a freemium model. You can pay to add features, and you can pay to upgrade the sample packs. Again, it's sample based. You download a bunch of sample packs, and it's loosely based on Ableton Live and the Novation, what do they call that? The Launchpad. I think it's the Launchpad. Yeah, or Launchpad, of course. The app is called the Launchpad. It's based on the hardware Launchpad. It has lots of little rubber LED buttons that you trigger clips in Ableton Live or similar software with. So this is just the iOS version, and you can, if you look in projects, you can load up different presets that have different sample packs mapped to the different pads. So I'm just going to load up the Tech House one, and that's already loaded. Let's see how quickly. Maybe we'll do let's do house and see how quickly it loads all the samples again. So it's loaded into memory. So now all those so now they're all those sounds are mapped to this grid. You can record your sessions. So you've got this record button here. You probably can't see. You can see that on the. Look at that. You can see this record button is there. You can set the tempo there either by tapping or increasing or decreasing. You can set which key it's in, and you can edit the pads so that each pad you can then load a sample from and all these samples are the standard basic bass pack that comes with the free download. You can of course pay to upgrade, but you can also make your own sort of sets, your own presets. There's lots of settings here. I won't go too deeply into this, but you can basically, it's all set to a grid, it's all set to a 4/4 grid, and each of these pads triggers a loop. The loop can loop 4 bars, 2 bars, 1 bar. You can see how many. You can go 8, 4, 1, half bar, or 0, which means it's just going to be a one shot. You'll tap it and it'll play once. This was set to 4, I think. Then you've got the pad mode, which can either set to loop. It can be a one shot, which means you press it and it will will play through once. And trigger means it only only activate the sound when you're actually pressing the pad down. So lots of options to, map each of your, so you can scroll through and find the sound that you want to map, and it's got some information there regarding the metrics, the metadata for that particular sample, and of course you've got percussion, melodic, vocal, bass, everything. So what's a lot easier than editing each pad, obviously you can go and you can download sound packs that will automatically be mapped to the pads already. They're reasonably affordable, and they release new ones like every week. They release a new pad. But let's take a look at this real quick, see what we have. Oh, I messed up that, didn't I? Because I edited the pad. So let's make that a loop again. Oops, there we go. So these circles that you see, each segment is indicative of how many bars in the loop. So this one here, there's four beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the indicator shows you how many. Bingo 1 looks like it's got 8. So that's 2 bars long, it's got 8 beats. This pad here has 4 beats, it's 1 bar long. So you touch a pad to start the loop, and everything is synced, so it will start and stop on the one, on the start of the beat, start of the bar. So that finished its cycle and then stopped. Start the cycle, everything's always in sync. It's really, you're making music through loops. Now you can, if you pay to upgrade the overall app, not the sound packs, you can then import. You can create your own loops on your computer and import your own loops. And that's where you can actually customize your Launchpad experience. This obviously you have pre-made loops that everyone has access to. Still, it's a lot of fun, and as you can see, we're making music instantly. And down this side of they usually have like the one-shots and special effects. You can just So the general rule is you can have one pad from each column active at any time. So as soon as you touch another pad in the second column on the next bar, it will cut You can see, you can mix up a song or a groove or whatever you want to call it really, really quickly. It's a lot of fun. I know it's pre-built, everything's canned, it's not really original, but you can mix it in only a way that you would see fit. Now, I should also say there are filters. So let's just say, for example, I'm going to put on the some drums. The filters are a high-pass filter, which is a low-cut filter like I mentioned the other day. Again, you can swipe across the middle to reset everything. So there's filters, you've got volumes you can mix. And of course, finally, we have the effects, which is where a lot of the groove comes from, like chopping effects. And this applies to the entire mix, not to any individual channel. And you can double up the effects by playing several at once. So again, all this stuff can be mapped. Maybe if you had like an actual Launchpad hardware, one of the Launchpad minis that is smaller and more affordable and more portable, you could plug that into USB and control a lot of this with a more tactile feeling than trying to fiddle around. And obviously, to have to go to the filters and then go to the effects, it's a little bit, you know, you can do one thing at one time, so not ideal, but a lot of fun. And as I said, you can record your performances and throw them up on the social medias so everyone can see what a wicked DJ you are. Anyway, that's good fun. I recommend downloading that. It's, you know, these are large downloads because they're sample based, but it's a lot of fun and good vibes. Okay, one last thing real quick, another let's delete. Can I delete these? Yeah. We'll start from Screech. Instrument. Okay, so we're going to start from Screech. So this program is called Auxy, AUXY. It's kind of like a little digital audio workstation, kind of. It's a sequencer. Again, it's very dance music oriented, so you're doing 4/4 loops again, but you add a bar and you can just decide whether it's 1 bar or 2 bars, or 4 bars or 8 bars. what the resolution is, whether you're working on 16th notes, 32s, triplets. You can do free moves, so you could probably do some sort of freeform jazz odyssey if you were so inclined, and soft just does some soft fading in and whatnot. So we hit play, and then we've got this drum loop. We have 4 channels: drum, bass, and some synths and some leads. So if we just turn this onto 1 bar for right now, because it's easy to create 1 bar and then duplicate. So you can set up your groove real quick, and it's like a step sequencer, very basic. So, got a groove, we can then mess with the sounds a little bit. We can pick from the, as again, you can pay to download. It's a freemium model, you can pay to download sample libraries and so on. Demo sounds, you can change the sound for this. So I can actually do a little bit of sound design, and it's not too fluid. It's actually okay. So actually, let's go back to our press and hold to edit. So let's duplicate. Okay, so you can hit the little plus and you can create a new measure, a new loop, and you can keep creating more and more as many as you like. Let's add a so we can tap to add the note, tap to remove the note, and then you can drag to extend the note. sound. We can go to the demo sounds and say let's find bass. Let's find So there's quite a lot of sound design possibilities. So yeah, just lots of sound design possibilities. And so start real quick. So we've got it's loop based again, but you're rather than playing samples, you are playing an instrument. You're adding your own notes in. You're creating the actual tones are sampled. The actual tones are canned. You can pay to upgrade to various other tones, and you can add. Let's see how many we can add here. Let's see. I would have to download. I won't do that right now. But I think you used to be able to add 4. I think the newer version you can maybe add 6 or 8. But also what's cool is you have these scenes at the bottom, and you can basically create any number of loops for each channel, for each instrument, and then you can then decide which loop is going to be played back for that scene. So then you can then say is handy in the scene when you create intros versus choruses, assemble those into scene 1 to scene 2. So you've actually got like what is known as song mode. You can actually assemble a song through the various loops. You can export stuff to MIDI. You can add swing. You can change the key and the tempo. Obviously, you can export the audio, export the MIDI. So you can even compose this when you're at the doctor's waiting room, and then come home to your workstation, and then work on it some more, finish it, produce it, master it, all that kind of good stuff. So lots of fun. That's Auxy. Again, a free download. It's a freemium model. Download the free version, and then you can pay to upgrade to other various sound packs. Again, highly recommended. Lots of fun. Looking for something to do on a Friday evening or a Friday lunchtime or any day lunchtime at work. You're looking to just create some music and distract yourself from the world and work and everything else, and just want to have some fun, get the creative juices flowing. Grab one of these, grab all three of them. There's a whole plethora. I've just scratched the surface of the iceberg, really. As I said, I've got a number of these free and paid for synths for the iPad. It's a very, very healthy and lively platform. There are all kinds of sequencing softwares, there are effects, recording, you name it. You can do a whole album on just on your iPad, and it's a lot of fun doing it. So I encourage you to go out, have fun, be creative, find ways to do that, and have a great weekend. Be safe. Thanks for watching. Of course, as always, if you have any questions, these places are where you can ask me questions, tips for maybe a topic you'd like me to cover in the future. So like, share, follow, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Be safe. Have a great weekend. Most of all, be creative. I'll see you next time.